I'm gonna continue with the Just My Thoughts volume series that I'm doing, and where I'm gonna talk about several artists, give the biography of them, talk about the music, the art, and everything, and my thoughts and recommendations for them. If you have not heard of these people, if you have not heard of these artists, check them out. So today I'm gonna be doing a today I'm gonna be covering is this jazz group in 2011 called the Sons of Kemet, and I'm gonna read a. If I could pull this up. Okay, here we go. So, the Sons of Kemet biography. So, over the last half decade, Shabaka Hutchins has established himself as a central figure in the London jazz scene, which enjoying the greatest creative renaissance of London, since the breakthrough of Joe, Harriet, and Evan Parker in the 1960s. Hutchins is restlessly creative and refreshingly open-minded spirit, playing a variety of groups, most notably Sons of Kemet, the Comet is Coming, and Shabaka and the Ancestors, and embracing influences of the sounds of London's diverse club scene, including house, grime, jungle, and dub. The common theme in my career as a jazz musician has been wondering what I am doing. What I am doing is the thing I should be doing, says Hutchins, who studied classical clarinet at college at the London's prestigious Guildhall School of Music and Drama. And me learning about jazz, how to play and interpret, was always a case of just trial and error. And I think I was just come recently as I stopped trying to think what I'm doing valid or what I'm doing as a part of the jazz tradition, and just see myself as a musician. Now 33 Hunches has begun garnering attention as a member of Met Yourself Down and Nubian party punk and band-led fellow saxophonist Pete Verham. Sons of Kemet, being a pronunciation of ancient name of Egypt, is marked as the first group as a band leader, and the 2013's Burn and 2015's Let's We Forget We Came Here to Do, both released in the UK label Niam Jazz, received significant acclaim, including a nod from the influential DJ Gillis Peterson. Sons of Kemet's new album, Your Queen is a Reptile, their first record for Impulse, and is the band's most fully realized creation yet. Powered by Hutchins' blazing and incendiary saxophone, thin cross tubia blast, which sounds like a funky bass lines, and the high octane interplay between multiple drummers. Revolving cast includes Tom Skinner, Rochford, and Eddie Hick. Born in London, Hutchins moved to Birmingham at age 2, and then relocated to Barbados at 6, remaining there till he was 16. After he returned to England, he began to play clarinet in the school band and the calypso and soca music of Barbados. Carnival not only provided Hutchins' first musical memories, but informs Sons of Kemet's kinetic intensity. Everyone comes out on the street, and it's a massive party, says Hutchins of Carnival. And in some ways, that is the core feeling that what we're trying to get Sons of Kemet. As someone in the Caribbean diaspora, imagining the feeling how I remember that feeling as a youngster, I want everyone in the room feeling so connected to the jubilant feeling of reality, of really just enjoying the celebration of music. And that's what I'm trying to get with the performances. Situation where every single person that in the room can feel this energy that brings us all together. And once we were all together, for me, that's what the transcendence can happen. So that's overall like a little bit more. Well, here we go. So In his teens, he was obsessed with reggae and hip-hop, especially Tupac, Bone Thugs, and Harmony and E40. He is the Eric Dolphy of hip-hop. Hutchins says of the West Coast rapper, he was going, he is going and just completely out there. He still practices playing his saxophone along the rap albums like the Notorious B.I.G.'s Ready to Die, and that's what I'm trying to do a lot of the times on the saxophone, providing the role of the MC from not from a narrative perspective, but from when the perspective of someone trying to provide the rhythmic relentlessness, says Hutchins. When I stepped onto the stage of Sons of Kemet, I'm not trying to be Sonny Rollins or John Coltrane. I'm trying to be someone like Capleton or Anthony B or Sizzler in terms of the energy that I'm coming up with, and that's who I want it to be. My core vocabulary is jazz, but I'm not trying to have the energy of someone in a suit standing stationary in front of a microphone giving a nice sound. I'm just trying to spit it out fire. Hutchins distinguishes one group from another less by the music that they can be by a different combination of personalities. And while he describes the Kemet as having an anarchist approach to music, and what we don't talk about and what anyone else is supposed to do, he says, we all just play what we think it should be. With Sons of Kemet, he's the composer of all the tunes, and in some ways, it is my group. He says of Sons of Kemet, I can say no stop here. This should be a break. And even within that, I trust the musicians. They got a better idea about what should happen then, and we'll try it out and see how it goes. Sons of Kemet boasts a somewhat unorthodox lineup: saxophone, tuba, and 2 drummers. But for Hutchins, it's a natural arrangement, and I've never seen it as unconventional, he says, of the group's instrumentation. And it's just been that when I wanted to play with the 2 drummers, and in some ways, it was a split between a desire to play within the 2 individuals, and also had a desire to take away the function of the drums, and as being a thing that provides the rhythm. And when you got 2 drummers that converse with each other, it takes a onus of one particular drummer to provide the beat, because there was going to be a forward momentum just from the expression together. The Sons of Kemet album. The second Sons of Kemet album is to feature the band's new tuba player, Thean Cross, who replaced original tubist Oren Marshall. And it feels like Thean has got the same musical backbone as me, says Hutchins. And he is also from Caribbean, and it feels like we've grown up listening to the same core repertoire of Caribbean music and jazz and hip-hop and all these things. And we all treat the musical history with the same irreverence, and in that we all love music, we appreciate it, but we're not trying to play the genre. We're not trying to express it in an obvious way. And the album's title, Your Queen is a Reptile. Just wanted to mention to you guys, that was one of the first albums I've heard. Your Queen is a Reptile. That was one of the first albums I heard, kind of coming into the game, current modern jazz music. And it's less shout out to herpetology, or the controversial British author David Icke's conspiracy theories, than to call out an entire concept of hereditary monarchy. One of the myths that the humans believe is some people are born better than others, says Hutchins. So for me to say Your Queen is a Reptile is to say that I have the agency to actually put forward a new myth, and it may not make any literal sense, but it makes sense as her being better than me as because of who her father was, and maybe it forces people to think about who is my queen. Who do I consider my queen? Do I have a queen? And the song titles of the album's 9 tracks, Hutchins posts more personal notion of potential royalty. The record's opening track, My Queen, is Ada Eastman, pays tribute to Hutchins' great-grandmother. It's one of the earliest memories of Eastman standing on the roof of her house in Barbados, fixing a leak with a hammer. And at the same time, she must have been in her mid-80s, and she lived to the age of 103. And by the time she died, she owned 3 houses despite not being able to read or write. She had worked until she was 60, then moved to America and worked as a domestic laborer in the for another 20 years, saving money and sending it back to Barbados to provide her family, for her family. And I would say that this is my queen, says Hutchins of Eastman. That is the person that inspires me to get up in the morning and try to get better at whatever I'm doing. The album's other queens honor is an impressive roster of remarkable black women. A few, like Angela Davis and Harriet Tubman, they're already well-known personas. Let me get a little bit closer for you guys. Are well-known personas. Or the frenetic pace of my queen is Harriet Tubman, Hutchins explains. And as I was listening to the tune, I just had the image of someone escaping slavery, escaping being in bondage, the feeling of having someone go down that road, and if you meet me at this location, you can be free. And how does that person run? What is the energy that person puts into getting from point A to point B? That person is going to be really putting all their energy into getting into the place at that time. Some queens are historical figures deserving of more widespread recognition, like Anna Julia Cooper, a scholar, author, and educator born to enslavement in the 1850s, who became the first African-American woman to earn a doctoral degree and often to refer to as the mother of black feminism. In the age of where she lived, it's unusual for black men to have that much education, let alone black women, says Hutchins. So for a woman to go, no, actually, intellectually, I have something to offer. I'm going to progress. That is inspirational, to say the least. And Nanny of the Maroons, a leader of Jamaica's 18th century community of escaped slaves, who repeatedly fought out the British attempts to conquer the free settlement of the 1730s. To know that there was a situation where a woman was at the forefront of actually keeping a community from outside the occupation of the British, and to me that's mind-blowing to the Caribbean context. Anasanawa, queen mother of Ashanti Empire, who had led her people in a war against the British colonialism in the 1900s, and what is now modern day Ghana. She basically said that if the men don't want to go and resist British occupation, the women will do it. The record's more contemporary queens include Mamie Phipps Clark, an American social psychologist who studies the damaging effects of racial segregation on black children and played a key role in the Supreme Court's landmark in 1951 Brown versus Board of Education, and South American and apartheid activist who helped lead the movement, while her husband Walter Silsalud, imprisoned for 25 years on Robben Island with Nelson Mandela, and Doreen Lawrence, and the mother of Stephen Lawrence, a black teenager murdered by the mob of white men in 1993, racially motivated London attack that police tried to dismiss, whose 20-year campaign, Bring Her Son's Killer, led to both 2012 prosecution and reform of the entire British criminal justice system. My Queen is Doreen Lawrence features lyrics of London riots of August 2011, and My Queen is Ida Esman, who jungle producer Congo Natty toast on the dub flavor. My Queen is Mamie Phillips Clark. And while jazz tend to be obsessed with the past, Hutchins' music is distinctly and defiantly forward, and not being from the place where jazz is born means that I don't feel any ultimate reverence to it. It's just about finding ways of reinterpreting. Where we're thinking about music, re-envisioning it, just like completely decontextualizing, and it's saying it's up for grabs. For me, the history of jazz is a perspective. Obviously, some perspectives may be worth more than others, because the perspective of someone who had came up in a land where it's formulated by May who had more weight than someone who just views it from the outside. But it's still just a perspective. Life is a series of perspectives, and if we can't sometimes trust the perspectives of others, to me, that's where the magic happens. So that's just an overall biography about the jazz band, the Sons of Kemet. Like I said before earlier on, I first heard about them was the album's title, Your Queen is a Reptile, reference to a lot of historical black figures, black prominent figures, and also historical, and also in text referencing to his mother, his great grandmother, Ada Eastman. That was one of the first few things I heard about Shabaka Hutchinson and his music. I heard about, of course, I've read about the tuba player, Theon Cross, and he's a really good tuba player as well. He definitely gets down. Um, these guys integrate a lot of instruments, mainly the saxophone and the tuba. They put a lot of their effort into, you know, sound not only sounding good, and plus at a young age at Hutchins is at, um, and of course also did a lot of Nubian party punk, and of course getting with Pete Wareham. These guys, are naturally born and naturally have grown together and have put together some forth amazing, amazing albums. My favorite one, however, had to be my favorite one had to be their title. My favorite one had to be their title track, the title track album by the same name. And the reason why that one is because I really feel like that kind of just showed me something about them, showed me where they're transitioning and where they're gonna go, and what they ought to had to do years later, and just made it more worthwhile. And for me, it was something that became a overall like outlook of their future had 4 years ago. So and also I really like the fact of Shabaka Hutchins, his honesty about his learning about jazz and what kind of inspired for him to take on such a triumphant, more conquering kind of imagery and lifestyle that he had once learned about playing jazz and interpreting the musical genre itself, and kind of going through all the trials and errors, what happened in his life and what happened, in historical texts, what happened to black folks and everything. So that really kind of gave me a feeling of just checking them out. And yeah, that was really something for me. Um, Also, I really did enjoy 2015's Let's Forget What we came here. Let's forget what let's we forget what we came here to do. I really thought that was a really solid project as well. Gave me feelings of like just back in the days of Bad Brain, a little bit of imagery of Thelonious Monk, a little bit of imagery of just Billie Holiday. A lot of people, man, Duke Ellington. It gave me a lot of feelings of all of those a lot of those artists as well, man. They really did their thing in here as well. I like the fact that he and also infusion a lot of hip hop artists as well. That really gave me the feeling, of course, and I did feel like he had an interpretation of a lot of hip hop elements. Especially when he plays the sax, it kind of has that feeling. Just textualized, very very front and center, to the forefront, self centered, and excuse me, to the forefront, and felt more he's very humble. He's very down to earth as well. Shabaka Hutchins. He's very humble, down to earth. And also the band, they do a lot of instrumentations overall that really kind of just catapulted me and just kind of really showed a way of like their overall influences and overall inspirations that really kind of put a backbone to me. So I definitely would recommend them to a lot of people who are trying to search and discover new interpretations of modern jazz or modern jazz bands. And if you are a fan of just overall like really live instrumentations like at a symphony orchestra or the opera, please check these guys out. They really really have what it takes. um, I'm gonna go into one of their albums. So the new cool Sons of Kemet balance of rage and healing, future and past. So Sons of Kemet, Black to the Future. So this is one of the albums that is my favorite, and it was on my go-to. So with his new album with his band, the Sons of Kemet, continues to live up to the billion hype around the young English modern jazz star. The fourth album, in the wake of death of George Floyd and ensuing protests, furthers the band's mission of harnessing anger, acknowledging sorrow, joy, and committing to a future better than the past. The new Black to the Future album is a balancing act. Hutchins continues his forward thinking of examination of centuries of African history, new cultures, and with tradition, and the balance. Sons of Kemet, the balance of anger and love, inspired by the most recent history, anger, frustration over the deaths of Black people in the hands of the police, along with the global Black Lives Matter movement power. The album's musical intensity, and joined by Ian Cross, drummer Tom Skinner, and percussionist Edward Wakili Hick. Hutchins is a melodic leader quartet, and its rhythmic canvas shapes the saxophone and flute lines, and drawing hip-hop and traditional Pan-African beats Hutchins grew up hearing in Barbados. The lyrics of bring the political edge of Black to the Future to the fore. Auden speaks how we can inspect the dungeon keeper to make rules and play fair. In the lead track, niggas, racial repeated line on hustle points to the protracted struggle of Black people. To the struggle of people in African heritage in England, America, and around the world. I was born from the mud with the hustle inside me, he exclaims. American saxophonist Kibby Williams joins for the Black to the Future's longest song, envisioning yourself in levitating. The exploration in both reed players twist around changing rhythms, reaching for hope and finding a sort of musical triumph. More expressions of healing come through the Sons of Kemet to never forget the source. Hutchins said he's referring to the principles which govern traditional African cosmologies, ontological outlooks, symbolizing inner journey, and referring to the principles which govern traditional African cosmology, ontological outlooks, symbolizing inner journey, the unifying factor that gives meaning to both, to looking backwards and nuancing and continually adding depth of contextualization and meaning to the past, visioning forward and speculating and striving to realize a better future for humanity. Shabaka Hutchins is a musician, having appeared in 10 albums in 2020, and we are set here by history from his group Shabaka and the Ancestors have also been a special guest in these releases already this year. So, in particular, going to the album, going to the project, my favorite songs from this project is famous Last Words, To Never Forget the Source, Use's Groove, and Awake to You. And this is with Robert Glasper and Terrence Martin as well, another two amazing producers / artists themselves. So yeah, guys, what did you think about Black to the Future, and what do you think about Sons of Kemet as a whole? Do you like them? Do you dislike them? Do you want to check them out? Have you already had checked them out? If you have, tell me what you think about them. So again, I want to thank you guys for as I get into my next artist, tell me what you guys think down in the comment section, what you think about them. Like them, dislike them, and tell me more. So the next artist I'm going to talk about is a legendary pop iconic figure. Pop and R&B iconic figure. Goes by, if we already notoriously known from the Jackson 5, we know him as, if not the greatest pop icon ever, In music history, we know him as Michael Jackson. So, we're gonna do a little bit of a biography too. Just a little bit. Just, I mean, if anybody who did not know anything about Michael Jackson, I'm gonna go into just a short, brief biography. And Michael Jackson, multi-talented singer and dancer who enjoyed the chart-topping career with both the Jackson 5 and as a solo artist. Michael Jackson, known as the King of Pop, as the best-selling American singer, songwriter, and dancer. As a child, Jackson became the lead singer of his family's popular Motown group, the Jackson 5. He went on to have a solo career, astonishing worldwide success, delivering number one hits from the albums Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad. Thriller remains one of the best-selling albums in history. In his years later, Jackson was dogged by allegations of child molestation. The 13-time Grammy Award winner died in 2009 at the age of 50 of a drug overdose just before the launching a comeback tour. Michael Joseph Jackson, born on August 29, 1958, Gary, Indiana. He was 8th of 10 children born to Joseph Jackson, a crane operator, and Catherine Jackson, a homemaker, and a devout Jehovah's Witness. Both Jackson's parents previously had musical aspirations themselves. Catherine had played the clarinet and piano and inspired to be a country singer, while Joseph was a guitarist to perform in local R&B bands. They encouraged their children to pursue musical ambitions, and Jackson's career in music began at the age of 5 under his father's encouragement. All among Jackson's siblings, marks in the music industry, including Rebby, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, LaToya, Marlon, Randy, and Janet Jackson. His brother Brandon, Marlon's twin, died shortly after birth. Joseph published his children hard to succeed, making them rehearse 5 hours a day after school, and was repeatedly known to become violent with them. And he said he was said to beat them with a belt buckle or electric kettle cord in order to order them to break a branch off of a tree if they got a dance step wrong, so he could hit them with it. With the Jackson 5 performed around 1969, including brothers Marlon, Tito, Michael, Jackie, and Jermaine. Jackson and his brothers spent endless hours rehearsing and polishing their act, and at first the Jackson 5 played local gigs and built a strong following, recorded the single on their own, Big Boy, and with the B-side, You've Changed, the record failed to generate much interest. The group moved on to work in an opening act for R&B artists such as Gladys Knight, The Pips, James Brown, and Sam and Dave. Many of these performers were signed to the legendary Motown record label, and the Jackson 5 eventually caught the attention of Motown founder Berry Gordy. More chart-topping singles quickly followed, such as ABC, The Love You Say, and I'll Be There. For several years, Jackson and the Jackson 5 maintained a busy tour, a recording schedule, and under supervision of Gordy and his Motown staff. The group became so popular that it even had its own self-titled cartoon show, which ran from 1971 to 1972. Jackson also popularized the robot dance after using the move during the 1973 performance of the song Dancing Machine on the Mike Douglas Show. Despite the group's success, there was trouble viewing the scenes. Tensions mounting between Gordy and Joseph over the management of his children's careers. The Jacksons wanted more creative control over the material, and the group officially served ties with Motown in 1976. Though Jermaine remained with the label to pursue his solo career, now calling himself the Jacksons, the group signed a record deal with Epic Records. The release of his third album for the label, Destiny, 1978, and the brothers had emerged as talented songwriters. Jackson began his solo career with simultaneously performing with the Jackson 5. He released his debut solo album at the age of 13, Got to Be There, in 1971, making the charts with single track, and he had his first solo #1 single with the title track from his sophomore album, Ben, 1972, which he recorded for the 1972 film of the same name about a killer rap. Jackson followed those albums with Music and Me and Forever Michael, 1975, and later with his last album with Motown Records. And Jackson stardom roles he tried to his hand at acting, and the experience left his mark in music too. Jackson portrayed the Scarecrow in the Sidney Lumet directed film The Wiz, alongside Diana Ross and Nipsey Russell. While living in New York City to make the film, Jackson frequently visits Studio 54 nightclub and was exposed to early hip-hop music and was contributing to beatboxing and featured songs like Working Night and Day. And then Jackson achieved his solo career breakthrough with Off the Wall and his first album with Epic Records, and his first produced by Quincy Jones, with whom he met while working on The Wiz. Infectious blend of pop and funk, Off the Wall featured the Grammy Award-winning single Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, along with such hits such as Rock With You, She's Out of My Life. Off the Wall featured the Grammy Award-winning single Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, along with hits such as Rock With You, She's Out of My Life, and the title track. Critics felt the album moved Jackson from the pop music of his youth into more complex sound, and some have called it one of the best pop albums ever made. Jackson would still perform with his brothers at the time, but overwhelmingly positive response to Off the Wall helped the Jacksons as a group. Their Triumph 1980 sold more than 1 million copies, and the brothers went on an extensive tour to support the recording. And at the same time, Jackson continued exploring more ways to branch out on his own. In 1983, Jackson embarked on his final tour with his brothers, support the album Victory in 1984, and Jackson's duet with Mick Jagger called State of Shock was the most successful single from the album. And of course, Thriller in 1982. Michael Jackson's already successful career skyrocketed in the early 1980s with the release of Thriller, and Jackson achieved unparalleled success with the release of his sixth solo album, Thriller, which was as of August 2021 is still recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the best-selling album of all time, having sold 67 million copies worldwide, 34 million units in the United States alone. The album stayed on the charts for 80 weeks after its release, holding the #1 spot for 37 weeks, which generated 7 top 10 hits, including Thriller, Billie Jean, Beat It, Human Nature, Wanna Be Starting Something, and PYT, Pretty Young Thing. The album garnered 12 Grammy Award nominations and notched 8 wins, both records at the time. Jackson also filmed an elaborate music video for the album's title track, directed by filmmaker John Landis. A 14-minute thriller mini-movie features a horror plot that culminates with Jackson dancing with dozens of zombies as an abandoned city street. Following his debut on MTV on December 2nd, 1983, it hailed as one of the greatest music videos of all time, and it became the first music video to be selected in the National Film Registry in 2009. On 1983's television special honoring Motown, Jackson performed his #1 hits, The Billie Jean, and debuted the moonwalk, which became one of his signature moves. The dance step, which R&B musician Jeffrey Daniel had taught him 3 years earlier, involves the dancer gliding backwards despite bodily actions that suggest forward motion. The much lauded dance performance further boosted sales for the already successful Thriller album, and as a musical phenomenon riding in the world of pop music, there was Michael Jackson and there was everybody else. The height of stardom. Jackson signed a record-breaking $5 million promotion deal with PepsiCo in November of 1983, launching the brand's youth-targeted new generation campaign. However, Jackson ended up filing a lawsuit against Pepsi when, during the filming of a simultaneous concert for a commercial, pyrotechnics accidentally set Jackson's hair on fire, resulting in second and third degree burns on his scalp. Jackson had surgery to repair his injuries and is believed to have begun experimenting with plastic surgery around this time. His face, especially his nose, will become dramatically altered in the coming years. In 1985, Jackson showed his altruistic side by working with Lionel Richie to co-write "We Are the World," a charity single for the nonprofit organization USA for Africa, a veritable whose music stars participated in the project included Ray Charles, Bob Dylan, Willie Nelson, Bruce Springsteen, and Tina Turner, and it became one of the top-selling singles of all time, raised by some accounts more than $75 million for the humanitarian aid and poverty to fight poverty in America. 5 years later, Jackson released his follow-up album, Bad, although it was unable to duplicate the phenomenal singles of Thriller. Bad reached the top of the charts, became the first album to feature 5 #1 hits with I Just Can't Stop Loving You, Bad, The Way You Make Me Feel, Man in the Mirror, and Dirty Diana. Filmmaker Martin Scorsese directed the title track's music video, which featured the then unknown Wesley Snipes and involved an elaborate story and delinquent teenagers and the gang violence. Jackson spent more than a year on the road playing concerts to promote the album. Jackson bought 2,700 acres of property in Los Olivos, California for $17 million and had covered into the Neverland Ranch, a home and private amusement park that he owned until 2005, named after the fantasy island of the Peter Pan story. It included a zoo, train, Ferris wheel, and a 50-seat movie theater. Several exotic pets were kept at the ranch, including Jackson's famous pet chimpanzees, Bubbles. Around the 1980s, rumors started to begin swirling that Jackson was lightening the color of his skin to appear more white and sleeping in a special oxygen chamber to increase his lifespan. In 1993, Jackson agreed to a rare television interview with Oprah Winfrey to quell rumors. He explained that the change in skin tone was a result of a skin condition known as vitiligo, and he opened up about the abuse he suffered from his father. Continued career success and abuse allegations. Michael Jackson performed at the Super Bowl 37 halftime show in 1993. In 91, Jackson released his 8th solo album, Dangerous, first without Quincy Jones of 16 years. The album marked on a different direction for Jackson in various genres, including R&B, funk, gospel, hip-hop, rock, industrial, and classical, and included a hit single, Black or White, which accompanied a music video directed by Landis and featuring a cameo appearance by child star Macaulay Culkin. And the final minutes of the video featured Jackson making several gesturing and violently damaging cars and buildings, which drew criticism from some viewers. Jackson issued an apology and edited the video to remove these elements. Jackson's music continued to enjoy widespread popularity in the following years. In 93, he performed at several important events, including the halftime show in Super Bowl 37. However, in 1993, also saw the first several child molestation allegations against Jackson when a 13-year-old boy claimed the music star had fondled him. Jackson was known to have sleepovers with boys at his Neverland Ranch, but this was the first public charge of wrongdoing. The police searched the ranch but said they found no evidence to support the claim. The following year, Jackson settled the case out of court with the boy's family. In 2003, television documentary Living with Michael Jackson, British journalist Martin Bashir spent several months with the singer, even getting him to discuss relations with his children. Jackson admitted that he continued to have children sleep over at his ranch, even if the 93 allegations, and that sometimes he slept with the children in his bed. Why can't you share your bed? That's the most loving thing to do, to share your bed with someone, Jackson told Bashir. Career decline and criminal charges. Michael Jackson faced many controversies in his life, including the 2005 criminal trial, which he was acquitted of all charges. Music career began to decline with a lukewarm reception to History, Past, Present, and Future, Book 195. To this album that features the greatest hits compilation, Disc 1, with new material on disc that included collaboration with Janet Jackson, the Notorious B.I.G., Shaq, and Slash. History considered Michael Jackson's most personal album, with lyrics pertaining to child abuse allegations and the anger of his treatment by the media, which spawned two hits, You Are Not Alone and his duet with Sister Janet called Scream. The spaceship theme video for the Light of the Song cost a record set at $7 million to produce and earned a Grammy Award for slick effects. Another track from the album, They Don't Care About Us, brought Jackson's intense criticism for using anti-Semitic term. In 2001, Jackson released Invincible. His final studio album prior to his death. It cost $30 million to produce, making it the most expensive album ever made. The album touched upon topics such as isolation, social issues. Jackson continued objections to the media, despite debuting at #1 on the Billboard charts, received mixed reviews from critics. Invincible was released as Jackson having legal issues with Sony over the rights to his master recordings, which escalated when Jackson called Sony Music chairman Tommy Mottola a racist who exploit black artists. By the turn of the century, Jackson was becoming known for his eccentricities, which included a surgical mask in public. In 2002, Jackson made headlines. He seemed to confuse and disoriented on stage at the MTV Music Video Awards 2002. Enormous criticism, dangling his baby son blanket over a balcony while greeting his fans in Berlin and Germany. In an interview, Jackson explained, "We were waiting for thousands of fans down below, and they were chanting. They wanted to see my child. It was enough to let them see, and I was doing something out of innocence." The wives and children. In August of 1994, Michael Jackson announced he married Lisa Marie Presley, daughter of rock icon Elvis Presley. The union proved to be short-lived as they divorced in '96. Some thought that marriage was a publicity tour to restore Jackson's image after child molestation allegations. In '96, Jackson wed nurse Debbie Rowe. Jackson and Rowe had 2 children, though through artificial insemination. Michael Joseph Jackson Jr., born in '97, known as Prince Jackson, and daughter Paris Michael Catherine Jackson, is born in 1998. When Rowe and Jackson divorced in 1999, Jackson received a full custody over the two children. Jackson would go on to have a 3rd child, Prince Michael Jackson II, who went by Blanket and now BG, with an unknown surrogate in 2002. Michael Jackson died on June 25, 2009, at the age of 50. He suffered a cardiac arrest in the LA home. CPR attempts failed, which he was rushed to the hospital, which he died later that morning. In February 2010, an official coroner's report revealed that Jackson's cause of death was acute propofol intoxication, a lethal overdose of a prescription drug cocktail, including sedatives, medulla, diazepam, and lidocaine. Aided by his physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, Jackson had been taking sedated drugs to help him sleep at night. Murray told police that he believed Jackson developed a particular addiction to propofol, which Jackson referred to it as his milk. Murray reportedly administered propofol by 4 in the evenings, 50 milligram dosages, and was attempting to wean the pop star off the drug around the time of his death. In 2013, Jackson launched a wrongful death lawsuit against AEG Live and the entertainment company that preferred Jackson's planned comeback series in 2009. They believed the company had failed to effectively protect the singer while he was under Murray's care. Jackson family lawyers sought up to $1.5 billion in estimation of what Jackson could have earned to that point, but in October 2013, a jury determined that AEG wasn't responsible for the singer's death. Memorials and legacy. July 7, 2009, a televised memorial was held for Jackson's fans at the Staples Center downtown in LA. 17,500 free tickets were issued to fans via lottery. Estimated 1 billion viewers watched the memorial on television or outline. Jackson's death resulted in a outpouring public grief and sympathy. Memorials erected around the world and along with the arena where he set to perform in another his childhood home in Gary, Indiana. Jackson family held a private funeral on September 3rd, 2009, at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California. And immediate family members and 200 guests, celebrity mourners, including Jackson's ex-wife Liz Marie Presley and actor Elizabeth Taylor. And of course, Mike's 38 Grammy Award nominations, 13 wins, including Album of the Year for Thriller, Best Record of the Year for Beat It, Song of the Year for We Are the World, and his first Grammy in 1980 for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance on Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, and among his other awards and honors at the 1993 Grammy Legend Award and 2001 induction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Recording Academy Lifetime Achievement Award. And of course, the Michael Jackson This Is It final tour in 2009, which made $23 million on its opening weekend and went on to sell $261 million worldwide. All right, so that is a updated and long biography of the legendary, iconic vocalist, one of the top greatest vocalists of all time. So my thoughts about Michael Jackson going through all of this whole biography and career was, man, I love this man's music. I mean, he was just super, super iconic, man. Not only just with the Jackson 5, what he did for them, and later on, like earlier on in his solo career, kind of going through, his own solo career and his own self promotion. Of course, from the songs ABC, The Love You Save, and I'll Be There, those songs pretty much were iconic on the radio, man. They became the most played songs in rotation on the radio on TLC here in Indiana. And then, of course, for me and my playlist as well. But my favorite album from Mike has to be Bad. That is believe the 6th solo album, I believe. That was one of my favorite albums, and the song, The Way You Make Me Feel, Man in the Mirror, and Dirty Diana kind of just showed me. I really loved and I love the music video for the song Bad, though, with Wesley Snipes, as the hoodlum, and, the link in the teenagers, and, the gangs, and all that, and how they kind of show it, and how they kind of made it more black and white feel a little bit to it. And then eventually it became in color, like later on. And I really love Man in the Mirror because it kind of just shows you and really gives you more feeling of what he did, like, of what he was going through, and kind of like facing that person in that picture. Dirty Diana was kind of like, love interest that he had before that he tied, and he really kind of just was expressing how much he had feelings for that particular woman. And I really do love what he did with Off the Wall. And that album. You know, talked about in his biography as well. Like the songs "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough," "She's Out of My Life," and of course, "Off the Wall" itself, and those were just really, really surreal songs when they came out. Gave me a feeling of just like, bruh, like he was in his element, he was in his bag. You cannot take him out of his element, you cannot take him out of his bag. And yeah, that really just showed me that he was able to blend so many different genres, subgenres, not only pop, R&B, a little bit of fusion of hip hop, a little bit of fusion of jazz, a little bit of fusion of rock, especially with songs like "Rock With You." It felt, and then if you look at the video, has the gold outfit, the silver outfit, the silver gloves, excuse me, and just the ability to do that as well. Um, his 1982 album Thriller, and then of course his iconic performance while in the midst of performing with the album, and the iconic moonwalk was just also taught by Jeffrey Daniels, as it was perfectly explained. That was something that I really was just in love with all overall, man. His music just was so iconic and game changing to me, and definitely rest in peace, a fallen of an iconic legend, man. That you ain't never gonna see in this lifetime, and you ain't never gonna ever replicate or duplicate, man. So I would definitely highly recommend this guy to anybody who has not heard of him. If you have not heard of this man, I don't know what is wrong with you. But but for me, yes, definitely somebody who became a game changer, along with his family, along with the Jackson Five, who became game changing as well. My family really much was inspired, and kind of like grew and had their hairstyle, the clothes, the outfit like the Jackson Five. So that kind of was just something that I really wanted to kind of get off my chest and express my thoughts about as well. So and the last person I wanted to talk about also in this video, in this live of my this series, is an artist by the name of Donny Hathaway. That's not what I wanted to do. That's not the. Okay, here we go. So Donny Hathaway, Donny Edward Pitts, born October the 1st, 1945 in Chicago, Illinois, and died January 13th, 1979 in Manhattan, New York. Donny Hathaway was born October 1st, 1945. Of course, we'll talk about that. Died January 13th, 1979 in New York. Soul music singer, composer, keyboardist, whose influential work blends elements of rhythm and blues, jazz, and gospel music, and helped the groundwork for American soul music in the 1970s. A talented keyboardist with a smooth and expressive vocal style, Hathaway was known for songs such as "The Ghetto," "This Christmas," "Someday We'll All Be Free," 1973, the popular collaboration with singer Roberta Flack, including "Where Is the Love" and "The Closer I Get to You." Early life and dedication: he was uh, born in Chicago to his parents, Drusilla Huntley and Hosea Brown, who separated shortly after his birth, and was raised in the Carr Sperry neighborhood in St. Louis, Missouri, by Huntley and his maternal grandmother, Martha Pitts, who also was known as Martha Crumrow, who is also a professional gospel music singer. At a very young age, he began singing in choir for Trinity Baptist Church, studying piano. Huntley recalled the first song Hathaway sang in public in 1979 in an interview with Ebony Magazine. Hold on, guys. And before I go and read this to you, I'm going to be right back. Give me another about a few minutes. All right. Oh. Alright, guys. Alright, guys, back. So, Hathaway received classic piano introduction at Vashon High School in St. Louis. Graduated in 1963. He earned five fine arts scholarship to study music theory and music education at Howard University, where he formed creative relationships with Flack and percussionist Rick Powell. He also met vocal performance major Louis Havon, who married in 1967. Hathaway left Howard University shortly before completing a degree to pursue a job for singer-songwriter Curtis Mayfield at Cardam record labels in Chicago. He worked as a session musician, arranger, and producer at Cardam Records. He contributed projects for Aretha Franklin and staple singers at Mayfield's band The Impressions. And in 1969, Hathaway recorded his first single duet with soul music singer June Conquest, titled "I Thank You, Baby." Later, he signed with Alto Records, and later he signed with Atco Records as a solo artist and released his breakthrough single "The Ghetto," and it features instrumental track that features Hathaway's chops on electric piano. In 1970, he released his debut album "Everything Is Everything," which he produced with Powell. The same year, he co-wrote, recorded festive holiday standard "This Christmas," which has become immensely popular the years since its release. Though the song did not chart in 1970, "This Christmas" peaked at number 34 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart in 2024 and has been covered by artists such as Diana Ross, Mary J. Blige, John Legend, The Temptations, and the Four Tops. In 1971, Hathaway released his eponymous second solo album, which includes "This Christmas" in its rendition of singer-songwriter Van McCoy's "Giving Up." In 1972, Hathaway and Flack featured the smash hit "Words to Love," which earned both Hathaway and Flack a Grammy Award for Best Pop Vocal Performance by a Duo or Group. Later, he released Live, a critically acclaimed live album featuring energetic set records such as the Troubadour nightclub in Los Angeles and the Bitter Fenton Club in New York City. He went on to record the theme song for the sitcom Maude in 1978, and composed the score for the comedy comeback Charleston Blue in 1972. In 1973, he released what would be his final solo album, "The Extension of a Man," anchored by a standout track, "Someday We'll All Be Free." Hathaway's prolific output and success in the early 70s has tempered by bouts of depression and severe mood swings. He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and was frequently hospitalized for a condition. His erratic behavior caused a split in his partnership with Flack and put a career on hold. In 1977, he reconciled with Flack and recorded the romantic ballad "The Closer I Get to You," which peaked at number 2 on the Hot 100 chart in 1978. And they also began working on their second duet album, Roberta Flack featuring Donny Hathaway, 1979. Hathaway recorded the debut album on January 13, 1979, with producers, musicians Eric Mercury and James Mattoon. Mattoon recalled that during one of the sessions, Hathaway began acting irrationally and displaying delusional behavior. Mattoon and Mercury ended the recording session, and Hathaway left the studio. And hours later, Hathaway fell to the death from his window of his 15th floor room at the Essex House Hotel in New York City. Police and investigators determined that he had jumped from the window and ruled his death a suicide. He was 33 years old. Flack was devastated by her friend's death. In a 2022 Vibe magazine article celebrating the 50th anniversary of the release of Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway, she reflected on a creative partnership with Hathaway, the love and connection that Donny had musically. It was like flying. Donny was a musical genius. Flack included the two songs they had completed, "Back Together Again" and "You Are My Heaven," on Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway self-titled. Donny and Alula Hathaway had two daughters, Alula Donald, Layla, and Kenya Libra Hathaway, which both are professional singers, and also had another daughter, Danita Hathaway. Soul music term to adapt to describe probably music in the 1970s. All right, so that is the quick biopic of Donny Hathaway, and you guys get to know about his life. What you think about Donny Hathaway? Yes, an iconic, legendary musical artist. He put together for some of the best songs ever recorded, ever written. Him and Roberta Flack, they did so much together, and they put themselves, you know, on the map. And a lot of black, um, iconic black vocalists, a lot of black musicians and producers have been inspired by both of these stars, and definitely inspired by him. The Christmas theme song covered this Christmas, and of course, his collab with Roberta Flack and their self-titled project, this Christmas and Someday We'll All Be Free, are two of my favorite songs of all time. And of course, The Ghetto, which displays a an overall outlook of just the environment in, black neighborhoods, and just overall just the environment of where we at where we came from and came through at the time in the culture. So I really appreciate what he did as an artist and as a singer. So tell me what you guys think about all three artists that I've covered. Uh, Shabaka Hitchings, of course, Michael Jackson, and of course, Donny Hathaway. Tell me what you guys think, because I'm about to be headed on out of here real soon. I'm going to continue to do these volume series, just my thoughts. Where I'm going to read biographies and talk about these artists. So tell me what you guys think, as we've been on for a while. And I'm going to be heading out of here with you guys soon. So thank you guys for watching, as I will be heading out of here right about now, and leave you guys to it. I want to thank you guys for watching, liking, sharing, subscribing. Thank you guys a lot for doing it, and continue to do it all, man. Really appreciate it, and keep in touch. Send me some ideas for what you guys think I should do next, cover next. I'm gonna continue to do these series. I'm probably gonna do a volume 7 and volume 8 together. Um, I'll probably do a volume 9. I'll do that solo. Um, the next artist I'm probably going to talk about is probably Prince. And the next couple bands I'm going to probably talk about is probably going to talk about, well, you'll see it in the next video, in the next lives coming up. So don't want to give too many hints away. But thank you guys for watching. I'm out of here. Peace, and much love.